I wasn't there.
I wasn't there. It was
Uh,
old.
Brett wrote in his book, "What about Jim?" And Vince's face grew serious. "I'll be letting 17 guys go today, and Jim's not one of them. I'm thinking I'll try him at the announcing table for a while, putting him on salary with a pension and full company benefits. I can't let him go. He owes me a lot of money from all his legal fees," end quote. Vince's plan was that the foundation would drop the belts to the Rockers at the next set of TVs, where they'd also be taping Saturday night's main event. And when I left the room, Jim looked like a prisoner preparing to see the warden. Afterwards, he did his best to appear upbeat, but it was easy to see he was devastated. At least he had his ongoing countersuit against U.S. Air and the hope of an eventual settlement. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about this, but can we talk about Neidhart's legal troubles here, where he had Vince bail him out, I suppose?
I don't think Vince bailed him out. They just sent him to Kirkpatrick and Lockhart. I don't even. I mean, I know there was the lawsuit and Jim won, but I don't really even remember the details about that thing. I know that's where Jerry McDevitt came from, and McDevitt
It
is
was
the
that
one that
case with
defended.
Anvil, right?
It was that case with Anvil.
Yeah.
Because it was Pittsburgh, U.S. Air was in Pittsburgh, and so they were looking for a local attorney to try the case, and that's where they found Jerry, and Neidhart should be very grateful to Jerry McDevitt.
Yeah.
But the other thing about that, and again, it's people take things literal and things. First of all, Jim was never going to be an employee. He was an independent contractor, and he didn't have. There was no pension. There was no benefits. That part was. I mean, those are words that would never ever come out of Vince's mouth. So yes, there was during that time that we were looking at Jim being a color commentator, and I think we were going to have him work with Monsoon, and eventually he did. We did try it out for a while, but just didn't work out.
Do you recall hearing what happened on the plane with Neidhart?
I don't remember, man.
Yeah.
I really don't remember.
Well, I'm glad he didn't get cut and he kept his gig. Let's talk about the famed match that never really aired. It happens in Fort Wayne, Indiana. You heard Brett talk about it. He's supposed to drop the tag straps to the Rockers. Brett would write, "What started out as a terrific match snowballed into a colossal clusterfuck after Jim accidentally broke the top rope. The match was taped and could easily be edited, but the ref, Freddie Sparta, couldn't figure out that he needed to temporarily stop the bout and fix the rope, even though I explained it to him." Are you at this set of tapings? What's
I
it like
was.
backstage? How chaotic is this?
No, I definitely was there, and top rope broke, and it was a situation where trying to get word, to everybody, and fix the fucking top rope.
Right.
But the guys, so I came from Texas, all right, where is if the top rope broke in the middle of a match, the match continued, and you had a bunch of guys that would get up there and loosen all the turnbuckles on each corner and reattach the rope and tighten everything up while the match is going on. Or the guys would go right into a finish, and then you fix the ring. In this case, because it was TV and it was tape, easily could have stopped the match and fixed the rope. But there was no, I think the ring crew was afraid to go in and do anything. And I think people panicked and just tried to finish the match with no top rope. And it was horrible. Didn't work.
How do you guys decide and who ultimately makes the call?
I guess Vince did. I really don't know, other than the match sucked. You couldn't air it the way it was because they were just trying to make do. And I think the finish was something coming off the top rope. And they just went into a bullshit finish. And it was like, I don't want to drop the titles that way. So it didn't happen.
Do you think that, I mean, once upon a time, you would have just redone that somewhere?
Sure.
Else. Do you think at this point it would have felt like exposing the business to redo it?
No, I really don't. I can't answer that question. I don't know. To this day, I don't know why. To me, it was such an easy fix. It's like, fix it, fix the rope, finish the match, edit it together as if it never happened. That didn't happen. And I think it was a lot of people just kind of getting back together and thinking, oh, we can make it work. Then you get back and you can't edit it and make it work. And so it didn't happen. Next. I still don't understand why we didn't go back and just drop the titles of the Rockers somewhere else.
Yeah,
And
it would have been fun.
so I couldn't tell you the rationale behind that. I wasn't privy to it other than because that was my thing. Just leave it as it is.
We do wind up getting a bit of a reprieve for Jim Neidhart, though, because he comes back to the company because, well, he's still a tag champ, and that tag switch never happened. Do you think Stu made a call to Vince for that one, or no?
No, I don't.
Just
I
happened.
I just think it just happened.
Well, the team is sort of limping along here. We get to WrestleMania 7 in Los Angeles. The Nasty Boys, with the help of Jimmy Hart again, defeat the Hart Foundation to win the tag team titles. Kind of wish that would have been the Rockers, but why the Nasty Boys? I love the Nasty Boys, but why the Nasty Boys and not the Rockers?
They were new and they were heels, and you had Jimmy Hart in the corner, so it was a little more logical versus the babyface match and the babyface switch with the Rockers. So you had nasty, the nasty heels, the Nasty Boys with Jimmy Hart, and it was just a better story.
They do have a couple more team matches as a team, including that WrestleFest show over in Japan, where it's a joint opportunity. They're going to open the show and defeat the Rockers, and also Power and Glory over in England. And finally, Demolition at Wembley Arena. And the final match of Brett and Jim as a tag team airs on Primetime Wrestling. It's taped in the Garden, and the Nasties are going to defeat them, again, with the help of Jimmy Hart. A 6-year run here for the Hart Foundation. We know what is due for Brett. At the time, did you see that for Brett? And what did you see for Anvil?
I think everybody saw that for Brett. And I think that there was still hope for Anvil to be that character babyface. But at the same time, I think that there was also a thought and a mindset of you're not going to get one over with the other one in the same space.
Right.
Because you're always going to go back to, man, the Hart Foundation. They were, that's what they were, and that's how people saw them. And if you have them apart, but yet they're still in the same vicinity of one another, it's just a little tough to fathom.
We know Brett goes on to win the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam that year in Madison Square Garden with Stu and Helen in the crowd. Jim is going to become a color commentator for a bit. We know that Stu has a great relationship with Vince as well. I mean, it is a family affair, the Harts and the WWF. And Jim would actually be managed by Andre the Giant in some matches, working against Earthquake before coming off of commentary. And he spends the rest of the year in matches against IRS, and he even works the Nature Boy, losing to the Figure 4. Flair would put him on him twice afterwards, that Figure 4, forcing Neidhart to be walked to the back. And there he's going to be jumped by the Beverly Brothers, and that takes him out of the Survivor Series. And this leads to Owen and Neidhart forming the new Hart Foundation. And we've talked about it a few times on the show here before. When we get things like the new Rockers and the new Midnight Express, it doesn't really always work out the best. But the new Hart Foundation, I kind of liked Owen and Neidhart. What'd you think?
Oh, I think that was the best chance of survival at that point. The outfits were a little crazy. Didn't always like them, but that was the new young hip thing, I guess, to look like a taxi cab.